Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Glad you can join me once again. Time now for another episode of the Card Sharks Many Cards game. Let's put a lot of cash. Here we go. I'll draw for $200 and your first card's a deuce. All of it higher. 200 higher than the deuce. You got it. 400. All of it lower. 400 lower than the jack. No! Well, that's okay. A couple cards to beat you. We're going to move the king up. Give me 400. Do it all over again. Lower. 400 lower than the king. Push. No win, no loss. So 400. Lower. 400 lower than the king. You got it. 800. Let's change it with number 2. Number 2. It is now a 5. Let's go for it. 800 higher. 800 higher than the 5. Right. 1,600. You gotta bet at least 800 of it. Let's change that card. Number 1. It is now a 5. All of it higher. All right. 1,600 higher than the 5. There you go. 200, so I'm gonna write that down in my notes. I'll add it up later on. Alright, we're gonna do the cards again. $200, your first card's a 3. All of it higher. 200, 3, you got it. 400. Change that card, number 2. Number 2. The 8 is now a 10. What are you going to do? I'll bet $100 lower. 100 lower than the 10. You're right. 500. Let's go for it. All of it higher. 500 higher than the 3. You're right. $1,000. Move the 4 up. And we're going to give you another $400. So you now have $1,400. All of it higher. 1,400 higher than the 4. You got it. 2,800. Change it. Number 3. Number 3. The 7 is now a king. All of it lower. 2,800 lower than the king. You're right. 5,600. Okay. I'm going to go half of it. 2,800 higher. $2,800 higher than the 5. You got it. 8,400. The queen becomes your new base card. Moving up to the big bet. You gotta bet at least 4,200 of it. Keeping that card. All of it lower. 8,400 lower than the queen. It is $16,800. All right. Reading the cards right now. $200. Your first card's a 3. Higher, all of it. 200 higher than the 3. You got it. 400. All of it. Lower. Lower than the ace. So 400. You got it. 800. Change that card. Number 2. Number 2. The 6 is now a 9. What are you going to do? $400 lower. 400 lower than the 9. You're right. 1,200. We're going to move the 6 up to the middle row and give you another $400. You now have 1,600. I'm going to change that card with number 1. Number 1. The 6 is now a 5. It's a little better. Okay, well, I'm going to bet half of it. $800 higher. 800 higher than the 5. Yeah. 2,400. Okay, I'm going to bet half of it. 1,200 lower. $1,200 lower than the jack. Right again. 3,600. All of it higher. 3,600 higher than the 4. You got it. 7,200. You got to bet at least 3,600 of it. All of it lower. 7,200 lower than the king. It is 14,000. $400. And the cards. $200 in first cards of three. All of it higher. 200 higher than the three. You got it. 800. 400, pardon me. Change that card with number two. Number two. It is now a jack. All of it lower. 400 lower than the jack. You're right. 800. I'm going to go $400 lower. $400 lower than the 7. No. You lose 400, you're down to 400, but we're going to move the 9 up to the minimum. We're going to give you the 400 back you just lost. So you're at $800. Change that card for number one. Number one. 9 is now a jack. All right, all of it lower. 800 lower than the jack. No. That's how the cards do. Yeah, $200 and your first card's a king. All of it lower. 200 lower than the king. It's a push. No win, no loss. Still have 200. All of it lower. Lower than the king for 200. You got it. 400. All of it lower. 400 lower than the queen. No. Well, there are a couple of cards that be remove the ace up. Give me the 400 back. All of it lower. Lower than the ace. Correct. 800. I want to change that card. Number two. Number two. The 10 is now a 5. Okay, I'm at 400 higher. 400 higher than the 5. Yeah. 1,200. All of it lower. 1,200 lower than the jack. It is 2,400. You gotta bet at least 1,200 of it. I'm gonna keep it. Let's go. Half of it, $1,200 higher. 1,200 higher than the 5. You got it. Second, 36. For the XD. Alright, do it again. All right, the cards have been dealt. We'll give you 200 points, $200. First card's a jack. All of it lower. 200 lower than the jack. It is 400. I want to change that card, please. Which one? Number 2. Right. The 7 is now a 9. Ooh, what do you want to bet? Okay, I like to bet $100 lower. $100 lower than the 9. It is 500. Okay, I'm going to bet half of the money. 250 higher. 250 higher than the 6. You're right. 750. We're going to move up to 10 right now and give you another $400. You now have $1,150. I want to change that card for number 1. Number 1. 10 is now a deuce. Gotta go. All of it higher. Higher than the deuce for $1,150. It is 2,300. Whoa. $1,150 higher. $1,150 higher than the 6. It is $3,450. Whoa. 1,200 lower. 1,200 lower than the 8. You're right. $4,650. Got him at least 23.25 of it. All of it higher. 46.50 higher than the 4. There you go. Second, 9,300. cards. 200, your first card's a 7. Let's change that card, please, for number 2. Number 2. The 7 is now a 4. Okay, let's go $200 higher. 200 higher than the 4. No. Couple of cards. Me, that was one of them. We'll move it for you up. We'll give you 400. Do it again. All of it higher. 400 higher than the 3. Push. No win, no loss. So 400. Higher. 3, you're right. 800. All of it higher. 800 higher than the board. There you go. 1600. The king goes up to the big man. You got to bet at least 800 of it. All of it lower. 1600 lower than the king. There you go. 3200 again. You may do some more cards. May deal them out. All right, here we go. $200. The first card's a 10. Change that card with number 2. Number 2. The 10 is now a 6. Ooh, what do you want to do? Let's go $50 higher. $50 higher than the 6. You're right. $250. Okay, I'm going to go $125 lower. 125 lower than the 10. No. You're down to 125. All of it lower. All right, 125 lower than the king. You got it. $250. We're going to move the 3 up and give you another $400. So that gives you $650. What are you going to do with that? Oh, all of it higher. 650 higher than the 3. You got it. $1,300. Okay, I'm going to bet half of it lower. $650 lower than the jack. No. You lose $650. All of it lower. $650 lower than the queen. You got it. $1,300. Move the 5 up to the big bet. You got to bet at least $650. Change that card for number 1. Number 1. The 5 is now a queen. All of it lower. $1,300 lower than the queen. You got it. $2,600. I will do the cards again. 200, your first card's a 3. All of it higher. 200 higher than the 3. You got it. 400. Change it. Number 1. Number 1. All of it higher. 400 higher than the 4. You got it. 800. Whoa. Well, I'll try it. $400 higher. 400 higher than the 6. You're right. 1,200. We're going to move the king up. And we're going to give you another $400. The dollars. Now you have $1,600. What do you want to do with that king? Low. All of it lower. $1,600 lower than the king. You got it. 3,200. Change that card. Number 3. Number 3. The 10 is now a 10 again. Ooh, what do you want to do? I'm going to try it. $1,600 lower. $1,600 lower than the 10. No. You're down to $1,600. All of it lower. $1,600 lower than the jack. It is. $3,200. I want to change that card. Number 2. All right. The 10 is now reduced. You got to bet at least $1,600. All of it higher. 3,200 higher than the deuce. You got it. 6,400. Trying to get back on a winning track. All right, we're doing the cards again. 200, your first card's a 3. All of it higher. 200 higher than the 3. You got it. 400. I want to change that card for number 2. Number 2. The 6 is now a 7. $100 lower. $100 lower than the 7. No. You're down to 300. All right. $150 lower. 150 lower than the 10. No. You're down to 150, but we're going to move the king up. Give you another 400. See now I have 550. All of it lower. 550 lower than the king. You got it. 1100. All of it higher. 1100 higher than the 3. You got it. 2200. Change that card, number 1. Number 1. 6 is now a king. All of it lower. 2200 lower than the king. You got it. 4400. The jack becomes your new base card. Moving up to the big bet. You got to bet at least 2200 of it. I'm going to keep the jack and I'm going to go 2200 lower. $2,200 lower than the jack. It is 6,600. You did the right thing. All right, we're going to do the cards again. Here we go. $200 your first card to 7. Change that card with number 2. Number 2. The 7 is now a king. All of it lower. 200 lower than the king. You got it. 400. Good card. All of it lower. 400 lower than the queen. You got it. 800. Please let it be lower. All of it lower. You got it lower than the jack. No. You're coming to cards over each of us. Dinner. But we're going to move the ace up and give you $400. Do it again. Lower all of it. 400 lower than the ace. You got it. 800. Higher. Higher than the 3 for 800. You're right. 1600. Lower. 1600 lower than the queen. No. To exit. The cards. 200. It's an 8. I want to change it. Which one? Number 1. Number 1. 8 is now a 4. What do you want to bet? Let's go all of it higher. 200 higher than the 4. Right. 400. All right. All of it lower. 400 lower than the king. You got it. 800. All of it lower. 800 lower than the jack. You did it. Cleared it. You got 1600. We're going to move the 3 up. Give another 400. You now have $2,000. All of it higher. 2,000 higher than the 3. No. That was the only card I could beat you. Should I redo the cards again? Here we go. 200 your first card's a deuce. Higher. 200 higher than the deuce. You got it. All of it lower. 400 lower than the ace. You're right. 800. All of it higher. 800 higher than the 4. You're right. 1,600. We'll move the 8 up and give you another 400. You now have $2,000. Change that card with number 2. Number 2. 8 is now a jack. All right. All of it lower. 2,000 lower than the jack. It is 4,000. All of it higher. 4,000 higher than the 3. No. Happened again. All right, here we go. First card's a 4 for 200. Higher, all of it. 200 higher than the 4. Yeah. 400. I'd like to change that card with number 2. Number 2 for 3. Good card. All of it higher. 400 higher than the 3. You got it. 800. Oh, right up the middle there. $400 lower. 400 lower than the 10. Right. Deuce. 1,200. We're going to add another $400 to that. 16. Higher. 1,600 higher than the deuce. You got it. 3,200. All right, I want to change it with number 1. Number 1. 8 is now a 5. What do you want to do with that? Well, I'm going to go half of it. $1,600. That is higher. Higher than a 5 for $1,600. Yeah, it is. 4,800. Okay, I'm going to try it again. $2,400 higher. 2,400 higher than the 6. It is. 7,200. Gotta bet at least 3,600 of it. All of it lower. 7,200 lower than the ace. Yeah, right again. 14,400. Yeah, all right, here we go. $200 your first cards in 8. Change it, number 2. Number 2. 8 is now a deuce. All of it higher. 200 higher than the deuce. It is. 400. Okay, I'm going to go $200 higher. $200 higher than the 6. It is. 600. Okay, I'm going to go $300 lower. 300 lower than the jack. It is. 900. We're going to move the 10 up and give you another $400. You now have 1,300. Change that card, number 1. Number 1. The 10 is now a 9. Okay, I'm going to go up with it. 650 lower. 650 lower than the 9. There you go. 1950. All of it higher. 1950 higher than the 3. You got it. 3,900. 1275 lower. 1275 lower than the 8. It is. 5175. I'm going to move the 4 up to the big bank. Got about at least half of it. All of it higher. 5175 higher than the 4. It is. 10,350. Cards. 200 your first cards to 10. Change it, number 2. So all of it higher. $200 higher than the deuce. You got it. 400. All of it higher. 400 higher than the 4. You're right. 800. All right, I'm going to go $400 lower. 400 lower than the 10. Right again. 1,200. We're going to move the 4 up. We're going to give you another $400. $400. You now have 1,600. All of it higher. 1,600 higher than the 4. You got it. 3,200. All of it lower. 3,200 lower than the king. It is. 6,400. Change that card with number 1. Number 1. The 9 is now a jack. Okay, I'm going to go 3,200 lower. 3,200 lower than the jack. It is. 9,600. You gotta have at least 4,800 of it. Change that card to the last one. All of it higher. 9,600. Yes, you got it. 19,200. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.